Here are the enthusiast cars at every reasonable budget that you should keep an eye out for in 2024. I've got a whole range of cars from £5,000 cars, £15,000 cars, £30,000 cars. The real purpose of this video and the idea behind 2024 is that these cars all have something in common. They are prime for you to benefit off the current used car market weirdness. The used car market is finally cooling down, as Doug DeMuro has said in his video, and there are finally actual bargains to be found in the used car space, which has not been the case for a long time. The thing that all these cars share, slightly underpriced, or their prices are falling, or there's something that makes them a good deal. They're fun to drive, they're rare / interesting enough that there's the possibility they could increase in value or hold their value. I'm still pretty new to YouTube, so if this is not your first time watching one of my videos, hit subscribe. All right, enough talk, let's get into the cars. Starting with £5,000. A lot of you guys are gonna call me absolutely crazy for this first one, but we're starting off strong. Mazda RX-8. But specifically, the R3 edition. It's a great car, great body style, suicide doors which look super cool, rear wheel drive, rotary engine, manual only, hydraulic steering. It's got an elongated MX-5 chassis, which everybody that drives them loves. I've driven a standard RX-8. The chassis is great, it communicates, it's just a very enjoyable car. It's like a bigger, slightly more powerful MX-5, which is high praise. Now, what makes this car interesting is the R3 model introduced supposed fix for the dreaded apex seals problem. The R3 model essentially has like an extra injector for oil that means the apex seals last longer. Rotaries are a lot of maintenance. You probably have to pre-mix some two-stroke oil into every other petrol tank, and there's a lot of things that are involved with owning a rotary. But this is an enthusiast car video, so that's the type of thing you're going to be into. You're going to enjoy that. So I think it's a really cool buy. And I think this model specifically, the R3, is unlikely to lose any more money because for about 3 years, they haven't dropped at all. Good place to put your money. All right, I promise most of the cars on this video are kind of normal, but this next one is also a bit out there. I think it's just me. I like weird cars. I have a 2021 Megane RS. Like, nobody bought those cars, but I did. Alfa Romeo Brera. I've been tracking the values of these cars, again, since I was into cars. I think they look absolutely stunning. Phenomenal looking cars. There's a few engines that have problems. Don't buy the diesels. The 2.4 is okay, but you get issues with swirl flap. The petrols have problems too. The 2.2 has timing chain issues. The 3.2 has timing chain issues. The 1.8 has carbon coking and all sorts of early direct injection turbo issues. So look, if you're gonna buy this car, set some money aside and be ready for the fact that it's gonna hurt. But God, they're gorgeous. And the prices of these things vary wildly. If you can snag a deal, you can find a nice car. The example I found is this black V6 S 3.2 car for exactly £5,000. Just bellissimo. I think if you get a nice, reasonably mileaged pro drive car, and you can get that for around £5,000 to £7,000, you're gonna do very well. And you're gonna be driving around in one of the most beautiful Alfa Romeos ever made. Okay, back to normality. 350Z. If you want to do well on one of these cars, you've got to look for a specific model. And if you can find it for around the £5,000 mark, you're killing it. What you want to look for is the HR model of the 350Z. And it's defined by having a slightly raised bonnet. Here's one with the old bonnet. Here's one with the HR bonnet. HR cars had a bit more power. They revved higher. They're great driver's cars. Hydraulic steering, once again, manual gearbox. You get the Brembo brakes, the larger ones, which are really good. If you can find one with the raised alloys, bellissimo. Sunset orange is a great color, but there's a bunch of other good colors too. They are bomb-proof reliable. They consume a bit of oil, but it's not the end of the world. Just make sure the oil's topped up and look after the thing. If you're a young petrol head and you don't have a lot of money, of the 3 cars in this category I've mentioned, buy this one because it will not ruin you. 350Z is gonna look after you. It's gonna be a good friend. Okay, we're in the realm of £15,000 now. I've got 2 cars in this category. I think they're both really interesting. One's a little bit lower than 15 and one's a little bit higher. The one that's lower, I can't quite believe I'm saying this, E92 M3. You see, this car has a special place for me because when I was young, this was the M3 of my youth. They're available with a manual, they're rear wheel drive, standard limited slip diff, 4-litre V8, available with a manual, 4-litre V8. They look great, it's a timeless design. Things to look out for with this car, the 2 massive ones are the rod bearings and the throttle actuators. Both of these can be quite expensive. If you can find a car that's had them done, you might be onto a winner. Just make sure it's documented because people will look for that. For a long time, they were a little bit less expensive actually. I think I remember an E92 M3 at £8,000. They're coming up now. I don't know what the market's gonna do, but this is why this video is about keeping your eye on these cars and seeing what happens with them. It is the last BMW to have hydraulic steering, and it's just a car that has a soft spot in a lot of people's hearts my age. People my age are at the moment where we're coming into our 30s and we start to have a little bit of money. We start to be able to buy things that we like. And we like E92 M3s. Cheapest cars at the moment are about 12. They're gonna be a little bit ropey, they're gonna be high mileage. This is the car I found, 17,500. And this one has specifically had documented rod bearings and throttle actuators. And I think I'd want the manual, just so I could rev match that 4-litre V8 myself. The next car to look out for in the £15,000 bracket, 2014 onwards, Subaru WRX STI. 300 horsepower, real diffs, hydraulic steering, manual only, 4-wheel drive, Subaru heritage. They look nice, interior's a bit very commonly found for £15,000. That's kind of crazy to me. I think the reason people are hesitant to buy these cars and it's affecting values is because of the reliability concerns. They still use that Subaru EJ25, that Boxer 4 turbo, and they're known for having issues. Specifically, I think it's the head gaskets. So owning one can be a scary proposition, and I think that's what's hurting the values a little bit. When I bought my Megane a year and a half ago, I looked into one of these cars. I actually test drove one. The car that I looked at was the cheapest and it was £21,000. At the moment, there are about 8 cars between £15,000 and £18,000. And this is why it's a good car to keep an eye on. One of these cars for about £12,000 would be a ridiculous buy. They're really good bits of kit. They drive really well. The 4-wheel drive is serious. Now we're into the £30,000 mark. So these cars are both not actually £30,000, they're slightly under, but these are the 2 most interesting cars to me at the moment in that space. First car we've got is the 370Z Nismo. It's a relatively new car, but you still get hydraulic steering, manual, limited slip diff, decent amount of power, rear wheel drive. I particularly like the off-white, creamy white color. I had my Mini in that color and I think It's just interesting and different and cool. Forged wheels are standard, Brembo brakes are standard. I mean, it's a serious bit of kit. You could do a bit of drifting, you could do track days, you could have a blast on the road. And again, they're bulletproof. Just like the 350Z, they're really reliable, strong engines, maybe a little bit of oil consumption and a few little niggles, but it's never gonna let you down. It's gonna be a big, strong, beefy unit of an engine and everything around it too. The UK did not get the 400Z, so this, if you want a Nissan Z car, is the latest and greatest you can have in the UK. What makes it interesting for 2024 is that the prices have been plummeting. I think the large engine has something to do with this, with our ULEZ and our taxation and fuel costs increasing. I think people are hesitant to go for larger engines, even if they're car enthusiasts. But again, this is a car when I was buying my Megane, I considered one of these. And at the time, the cheapest one on sale was £24,000. They've already gone from 24 to 17 in a year. How much further are they going to drop before they level out? And can you find a bargain and get yourself into one of these cars? I don't think there was any facelift, so the year is irrelevant. Mileage also doesn't matter because these engines will do 200 plus no problem. Definitely one to keep an eye out for. And then this is the big one, the original M2. With the N55 engine. People call it M2 OG. But there's an option of a manual, and it's probably the best sounding 6-cylinder ever made. Controversial, I know. Standard LSD because it's an M car. You could use this every day. This could be your daily driver. You could drive to work in this. It's got back seats, so you could put a child seat in the back. You get the electronic BMW steering, which isn't amazing. I don't understand why the values are dropping as much as they are. This kind of car does attract a certain type of buyer, usually from Birmingham. So be careful of the one you buy. The N55 can have a few niggles, but generally it's not too bad. And the rest of the car is super reliable. BMW servicing costs are going to be quite high, and parts costs are going to be quite high, and it's an M car, so you get the M tax. It will probably return 30 mpg because those BMW 6-cylinders are always really good on fuel. When I bought my Megane, these cars were £30,000. If you found one for 29, it was a bargain. At the moment, the manual cars are sitting at 24, and the automatic cars go as low as 21. Once again, it's a car that's been plummeting in value. You've got to forgive the slightly weird video format this week. I missed the video last week. I was really sick. I tried to film a video. It wasn't a good look. I've been really under the weather. I missed a Sunday upload for the first time since I started on YouTube. And today was my day for filming videos, but it snowed. So I can't exactly go out and record any spirited driving clips, which I would need for the video titled How to Be a Dynamic Driver. So this is what you guys get today. A few people have asked for something like this, so I hope you guys will enjoy it. Let me know what you thought of the format.